Hi guys, today my topic is about food crisis. So what is food crisis? Food crisis is basically a long and extreme shortage of food, which results in death. So nearly 1 billion people in the world are now hungry, and additional 150 million people are suffering from hunger. What is the cause of food crisis? First is the global food prices. Rising global food prices affects people's ability to buy enough to feed their families. Not surprisingly, the hardest hit are the poorest, especially the urban poor, who can spend as much as 80% of their income on food. Countries most affected are those which need to import large amounts of food, often because of failed harvests. Many governments introduce food subsidies or expose restrictions to counter rising costs, but some critics say this only exacerbates price rises on global markets. In 2007 and 2008, the global price of basic rice, wheat, and maize soared, triggering riots in many countries. Prices are likely to become even more volatile in the next 20 years. Population growth, demand for more varied diets in countries like China and India, and a growing market for biofuels are putting pressure on limited resources like land and water. Climate change is affected crop yields, and foreigners companies are taking over vast swaths for fertile farmland in poor countries to grow food for export, potentially diminishing local farmers' access to land and food. Next is the global population growth. The global population is growing at an alarming rate, and providing enough food to combat this problem is becoming challenging. The current rate of food production will not be enough to feed the growing population. Food production will have to be increased according to the growth of the world's population if we are to avoid a total food crisis. They say global food production must increase by 50% to meet the projected demand of the world's population by 2050. In order to have sustainable future, more farmland will have to be designated to increase crop production. Lastly is the climate change. The effects of climate change are the leading cause of food shortage. The world is experiencing a catastrophic change in weather patterns. Storms are becoming more volatile and droughts are becoming more severe. These changes are having an effect on crop production around the world. Some of the weather conditions that are associated with climate change are extreme cold, extreme heat, and excessive amounts of rain and snow. These conditions contribute to damaged crops around the world, while climate change plays a big part in damaging the world food supply. Plant diseases contribute to this dilemma as well. While plant diseases are not as significant as other causes of crop failure, they are a big concern to overall food supply, as anything that has an adverse effect on production can be devastating.